Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, students. Today we are going to study our chapter number 6, work energy, and our topic is forms of energy. Here I have drawn the flow chart of energies. We have mechanical energy and different forms of energy: electrical energy, nuclear energy, light, heat, and sound. As we know that energy can never be destroyed. It only changes from one form to another form. So we have different forms of energies. Some sources are natural, some sources are unnatural, some sources are human made, human created. Remember, students, that all forms of energies are categorized on the basis of their source, on the basis that where we obtained the energy from. All the energies which I have written on the board, these all forms of energies are categorized on the basis of their source. First we have mechanical energy, and we know that we have two types of mechanical energy. Now, what is the source of mechanical energy? The source of mechanical energy, number one, motion, and number two, height. We have studied that the energy possessed by a body due to its motion is known as kinetic energy. So, kinetic energy is the form of mechanical energy, because I have told you that the source of mechanical energy is motion and height, and the energy due to motion, the energy possessed by a body due to motion, is kinetic energy. As far as this source is concerned, second source, height or position. We have studied that the energy possessed by a body due to its height or due to its position is known as potential energy. So, potential energy is also the form of mechanical energy. Kinetic energy and potential energy, both forms are the types of mechanical energy. Now, what are the uses? Of these two kinds of energies? Uses. In our book, we have given the example of windmill. Now, what is windmill? We know that moving air is known as wind. So, moving air, which is known as wind, is working on the basic phenomena of motion. And when we are talking about motion, we are talking about the energy due to motion, which is kinetic energy. With the help of moving air like this, windmill is like this. When wind or moving air touches the fans of these mills, this windmill starts moving, and when it moves, a lot of generators are connected below this windmill. Due to this moving turbines of this windmill, we can generate electricity. So, windmill, moving air is known as wind. Whenever wind is applied on the windmill, the turbines of the windmill moves, and we can create electrical energy from this windmill. Another example is given in our book, which is of hydropower plant. We know that hydro means water, and we all know that in our country, in Pakistan, the basic form of electric generation is hydropower plant. So, in case of hydropower plant, a water is tend to flow from some height. When water hits the turbines, these turbines start moving, and again a lot of electrical generators are connected with these turbines, with the help of which we can produce electricity. Now, in case of windmill, we were talking about moving air, which is known as wind. it is connected to the kinetic energy, motion. But in this case, you can see that water is being flown from some height. So whenever we talk about height, we know that energy possessed by a body due to some height or position is potential energy. So in this example, we are using the potential energy to produce electricity. You can see that mechanical energies, two types, kinetic energy and potential energy. Kinetic energy is due to motion, and its example is windmill. With the help of wind, we can drive the turbines of the windmill and can produce electricity. And the second type is potential energy. Again, the same example. We are tending to flow the water from some height, and whenever height is concerned, we have potential energy and we are generating electricity using turbines and water flow. So these two are the types of mechanical energy, kinetic energy and potential energy. So students, our second form which we are going to discuss is heat energy. So what are the sources of heat energy? Heat energy is obtained from hot bodies. Whenever we encounter hot bodies, we obtain heat. Secondly, burning of fuel. Whenever we burn some fuel, we get heat. When I am talking about burning of fuel, my basic concern is engine. We know that all of the automobiles work on the basis of engines, and whenever we are talking about engines, we are talking about the burning of fuel. Whenever fuel is burned, heat energy is obtained. In all of our automobiles, engines are present, and engines work on the basis of burning of fuel. Whenever fuel is burned, we get heat energy. Now, what are the other sources of heat? Heat is also obtained from frictional force. Now consider this example. This is wooden surface and this is wooden block. Whenever I am sliding this wooden block on this wooden surface, the friction is produced because of the cold welds which we have studied in previous chapter. We know about the cold welds. Whenever we slide this wooden block on this wooden surface, friction is produced. And due to friction, heat is produced. So we can obtain heat energy from hot bodies, from burning of fuel, from frictional force, and also we can also obtain heat energy from food. Now, how we can obtain heat energy from food? Whenever we take food or whenever intake of food is done, a lot of chemical reactions occur in our body, like metabolism, like digestion, like energy flow in form of blood. So whenever food is consumed, a lot of chemical reactions take place inside our body, and whenever these chemical reactions take place, heat is produced. So food is also the source of heat. Now, what is the major source of heat? The major source of heat is sun. Sun is the major source of heat, and we know that we get heat energy, we get lot of heat energy. Almost all forms of heat energy is obtained from the major source, which is sun. Okay, students, other type is Electrical energy. Now, electrical energy is the widely used form of energy in our world. Our world is full of, our life is full of electrical appliances. Or in this era, in this century, life is not possible without electrical energy, because in every aspect of life, electricity is needed. And so, electricity, what is the source of electrical energy? What is the source? Now, when we talk about the source of electrical energy, we know that batteries are the source of electrical energy, because electrical energy is stored in the batteries. We know that we all have UPS in our home, and what is the basic phenomena of UPS? The basic phenomena of UPS is the electricity is stored in the batteries. So whenever the supply of electricity is switched off or UPS start working, it provides the same form of energy, same form of electrical energy to our houses. So basic source is batteries. Other source is electrical generators. Electrical generators. Now, what are the source of electrical? Now, what is the use of electrical generators? I told you about hydropower plants. Hydropower plants, and I told you about windmill. In both these cases, in the case of hydropower plant, we know that electrical generators are connected with the turbines. In case of hydropower plants, whenever water is fall on the turbines are driven and electrical generators produce electrical energy. Also, I told you about the case of windmill. Whenever wind drives the turbines of windmill, electrical generators are connected with the windmill and we produce electricity. So the basic sources of electrical energy is batteries, electrical generators. Also, third source is nuclear plants. Whenever we talk about nuclear plants, we know that a lot of countries are using nuclear plants for the production of electricity. In these cases, radioactive nuclear elements are used, and by the gain of nuclear radiations, the turbines are driven and electricity is produced. A lot of countries also use thermal plants for the production of electricity. In case of thermal plants, heat energy is used to drive the engines, to drive the electrical generators, and from thermal plants, by using heat energy, we can produce electrical energy. Other form is sound energy. Now, what is the source of sound energy? We know that whenever vibration happens, sound is produced. Whenever two bodies vibrate, sound energy is produced. I am talking here, you are listening my sound. Whenever I am talking, my vocal box, my voice box, my vocal cords are vibrating and sound is produced. You can hear my sound coming out of my mouth. So, the basic source of sound energy is vibration. Whenever two body vibrates, sound is produced. You can take the example of this marker. I am knocking at this board. A sound is produced because two bodies are hitting together and they are vibrating. The particles of this marker and the particles of this board are vibrating. So sound is produced. Whenever body vibrates, whenever two bodies vibrates, sound energy is produced. You can also take the example of drum. Now, this is a drum, and these are the sticks from which we are hitting the drum. Whenever the sticks are whenever the sticks hit the diaphragm, of this drum, sound energy is produced. Because these sticks, whenever these sticks hit the diaphragm of this drum, the particles of the diaphragm of the drum vibrates and sound energy is produced. Similarly, we have the example of bell. We have the example of bell. Now, how is the bell? Now this is the bell. Now whenever the bell is rang, this hammer of the bell, you can draw it like this. The hammer of the bell strikes the inner walls of the bell and the sound is produced. So the basic example of the production of sound is vibrating bodies. Whenever two bodies vibrates, sound energy is produced. So the basic source of sound energy is vibrating bodies.